Hi guys, so lovely to connect with you. This is going to be a regular. Wellness Wednesday is just a chance to share with you some little tips and tricks and to go into a little bit more detail around what I mean and kind of just expanding on posts from Instagram and Facebook or wherever we've connected. So today just really felt light and true to share something around expansion. Now, wow, like what a massive word, and what feelings does this word bring up in your body? A lot of the time we desire to call something into our lives, but actually the underlying feeling is kind of resisting it. Maybe there's a little bit of fear around experience expansion. Maybe your little girl, little boy is fearful of that, and so wants to keep you safe, wants to keep you in your comfort zone. And yet that's not where the growth is, and that's not where the fulfillment is, and we know this. How many times have you stayed in a situation for far too long? You knew it wasn't right, but you stayed in it because at that time your conscious mind, your monkey mind, was saying that this is the safer option, that whatever's past this point is the unknown and I'm fearful, so let's stay in the known. And yet sometimes what may have happened is something would have triggered you again, and you would have just reached your limit where suddenly you knew you had to make a change in that instant, and everything shifted. And a lot of the time when we decide to step into this space of expansion, we're confronted with our comfort zone. We're confronted with emotions, with fears from our past experiences. We bring this into the present moment, or stories, old patterns and old behaviors that we're just continuing to play out. So instead we get to see this feeling in our body, whether that's fear in our stomachs or this kind of anxiety in our solar plexus, as a signal that this is a good sign, because it means that we're about to move through this barrier that is holding us where we currently are. And a lot of the time it means letting go, expansion, space to expand. How can we do that when we're holding on to so much? So there's this beautiful process that we get to go through when we are choosing expansion, which is letting go. And when we let go, we create space, and with this space we get to call forward more of what we desire, more of what is in alignment with who we are and all that we desire to be, all that we desire to experience in this life. And so there's a real beauty in simplicity. So when life is simple, when we live simply, we tend to feel that we always have the space to call in more. And of course there's many layers, and we get to peel back those layers until eventually there are no layers. We are all connected, we are all things, and our souls are always in this state of flow, expansion and expression. So how can we start to call forward expansion into our lives if that's what we desire? For me personally, through my experience, and that's all I'm going to share is what I've experienced. And this is not saying that this is the only way or this is the way you have to do it. We listen to people's journeys and we get to resonate and connect with what feels true for us. So for me, that feeling of expansion years ago was scary. I could feel my inner child being scared, feeling fearful of going into the unknown. And so when that feeling comes up in my body, depending on where it is, we get to get curious with what is the trigger there? What is the underlying story that I'm telling myself? What is maybe an experience from the past that I'm bringing into this present moment? And you see, when we call on an experience that we've had in the past and we call it into the present moment, we're simply going to replay the lesson, replay the pattern. And again, I'm sure you've experienced this so many times, where I know I did and still am, patterns that you thought that you've overcome, that you've addressed, and you're like, yeah, I've dealt with that, I felt into it, I acknowledge it, I've given it love, and I've released it, and I've let it go. And then for whatever reason, maybe years down the line, maybe not so long down the line, something comes up and you realize that you've just done the cycle again, you've done the loop again. And there is that feeling of frustration, like, oh, like I thought I'd done this, I thought I'd cleared this. And so with this emotion of frustration, or this idea that we're replaying a pattern, we get to sink a little bit deeper into it, and we get to be compassionate with ourselves and release that feeling of frustration, because really this emotion, or any emotion that isn't joy and bliss, is an opportunity for us to get curious and to dive in deep. And that's what's really amazing about emotions and feelings. And this is why it's so important to feel everything. If we block one emotion and we say, I'm not going to experience that emotion, you block all other emotions. And another example is when I was younger, I'd been brought up in quite a volatile household, and so I had always labelled anger as being wrong, as a bad expression, you can't express it. And so for years I not only shut down my partners if they got angry or they expressed that emotion, but I physically could not. It was like when I was little, I made this declaration, and as I grew up, I couldn't actually connect with this emotion. So what would happen? I would feel angry and I would cry, and I just physically couldn't get that expression of anger out. Now, this is not to say, you're just going to go about and be aggressive, but it's connecting with every emotion and knowing that all emotions are safe, all emotions are amazing, because they are a sign and a signal that we get to dive in and get curious. And underneath it all really is the base emotion, which is fear. Everything is either coming from a place of love or fear. And every action that we take on a daily basis is either from a place of love or fear. So sit with that. How do you go about your day? How do you interact with others? What are the thoughts and the feelings that you say to yourself? Are they expansive? Are they from a place of heart-opening love, expression, acceptance? Or are they from a place of fear, scarcity, and this feeling of lack? So sit with it. Ask yourself the questions and just give love and kindness to all aspects of who you are, knowing that everything is showing up perfectly for your journey to reconnect even more fully back to who you are, the powerful creator. Sending you so much love, and see you next Wednesday.